world of tank blitzers and hopefully a few future mumrads. I'm Littlefinger today, sharing some more knowledge. We are going to do a full tank review on the T67, which is an American Tier 5 TD tank destroyer. You can see it here in the garage. It does have a turret that turns quite slowly. It is rather small in stature, but does have great mobility. We'll take a look at it to the Wolverine there, the AT2. You can see how we do size-wise. Let's take a look real quick here at the tech tree. Tier 5, we are right in the middle there after the M8A1. This line takes you to the Hellcat T25-2. All these turreted TDs, super fun line. T28 prototype is a little bit difficult to play just because of its extremely slow speed. But once you get up to the T30 and the E4, you're really going to love these tanks. Highly recommend this line. So let's take a quick look here at the characteristics. You can see not much protection there. Pretty good firepower and shot effectiveness, but way up on maneuverability. You're going to want to quickly get yourself up to the 76 millimeter gun, which does about 128 millimeters of penetration and an average damage there around 160. Set up real quick, you can see as most tanks these days, I'm running this camouflage. I highly recommend that with TDs. For consumables, repair kit, multi-purpose, and adrenaline. That's fairly standard for me. I'm running the top 3 provisions, which include protective kit, case of cola, and improved fuel. You can see that really boosts up our engine horsepower. The cola helps with our traverse speed and our turret traverse a little bit, and even gives us a little bit of extra rate of fire. And of course, the protective kit is primarily used to protect against fires. Ammunition. Well, this is a little bit interesting. I've got a game I'll show you that I ran out of AP, and actually I ran out of APCR in this game, but I think I would run it more like this with about 30-10 ratio. You don't need very many APCR. Rarely run into a situation where you're going to shoot HE, so I might run with like a 31-9 here. Maybe we could just even it out and go, well, maybe we can't, 30-10 and go with that. I think that'll certainly suffice for a long battle. Let me look real quick here at the equipment. Again, Tier 5, I would not use spare parts. You can see I'm running the gun rammer instead of calibrated shells, just because this tank already has good penetration numbers, so we want to get that extra rate of fire in there. Running protected modules, again, this is primarily because of my consumable setup. I'm not so much worried about crew protection, so that's why I run the protected modules. And then for this tank, I was running improved optics, 263 on the view range there. You know, for a TD, especially a TD with this without much armor, you do want to spend more time in the back. So I could see a good argument for running camouflage nets. If you do run down into the next level and want to spend spare parts, which highly recommend that you don't, because even if you sell the tank, you don't get them back. It's kind of just a waste. So enhanced gun lane drive or supercharged. You know, this really helps out on your aiming time, so I would go with the EGLD. Enhanced armor, we don't have much armor on this tank, so I would probably go with just a few extra hit points there. That could be the difference between a game or two. Improved control, you can see we're going to get 9 on the horsepower and 4 in the traverse versus engine accelerator, which is going to give you 32 on the horsepower and 1.5 I didn't run into much problems with this tank accelerating, so I would go with improved control, which is going to give you a little bit faster traverse speed, which is one of the areas this tank does lack a little bit. Vertical stabilizer I would choose over the refined gun. Enhanced tracks, toolbox, kind of a toss-up. Can't really feel a difference in game with these on the tanks that I have put it on. Consumable delivery system, and this again just goes to what consumables are you running. If you're running a power boost and adrenaline, I would go with this one. If you're running the repair kits like me, I would go with consumable delivery system. So that's the setup. Let's take a look at how this tank compares to other in the class. Alright, so here's a screen grab of blitzstars.com using their tank compare. I've lined up all of the non-premium tier 5 TDs. You can see the T67 on the left with the M10 Wolverine next to it as the only other turreted TD. The rest are your standard non-turreted TDs. DPM at 1752, we are right in the middle of the pack. Penetration at 128. We're a little bit on the low side here compared to some of those other tanks with slightly bigger guns like the SU-85 with its 85mm gun, or the French TD with its 90mm gun. So we do have that working against us with this tank, but I don't seem to struggle too much with penetration with the help of the maneuverability of this tank. So shell velocity there at 792 does come into play if you've got to shoot through sheds or something like that. You're going to have a tough time penetrating. Aim time at 1.54 is really good, best in class. Dispersion at 0.37 is a little bit on the high side there, but doesn't seem to be too much of a problem. Depression, as with all American tanks, we've got a negative 10 degrees of gun depression, so use that to your advantage. Play the ridge lines, play hills. You can see that it's really one of the strengths of this tank. And of course, also is the fact that you can turn that turret 180 degrees, where you can see some of those other ones are limited to 15 to 30 degrees. Moving on to movement and mobility, you can see a lot of red in this box, which means our tank stands out way above these other tanks when it comes to movement and mobility. 61 kilometers per hour top speed. Really, the other tanks are all kind of averaging in the high 40s there, so we're well above that. Our engine horsepower is 506, and you can see there on the terrain resistance of 1, 1.1, and 1.5. We've got great terrain resistance, which gives us an effective horsepower per ton of 35.1, which is just about double any of the other tanks out there. So maneuverability, you can see that's why this tank stands out. Also looking at the credit coefficient, we're making a little bit of extra money on this tank when we run it. View range is kind of middle of the pack. Hit points is unfortunately on the low side for this tank. I say unfortunately because of its limited armor, and you can see here a lot of green for all of these other tanks when we look at hull and turret armor. 22 millimeters on the front of the hull compared to some of these others with 45, 56, 80. Even the AT2 at 203, you know, that's a difficult tank to penetrate unless you shoot at that commander's hatch. But anyway, you can see down there the win rate of 58.93. It's one of the best played tanks in the tier, and also one of the highest damage per game tanks. So I think that says a lot about its strengths and its weaknesses. So keep that in mind as we watch some gameplay. Alright guys, first game here is on Falls Creek. I'm going to play the whole thing in fast forward just because I have already posted this game to the site if you want to watch that game. Look under random battles, but you can see here I'm waiting for our heavies to go and spot for me. One of the things I like to do with this tank, you can see here a little bit on a ridge line, hoping that they would spot as they come up the bridge. I figured they would, and sure enough, here they come. Take a shot on the Anko, and unfortunately that bounces. Now I'm trying to decide, how best to handle this situation, and that KV1 pops into sight, and he does a great job angling there. So I'm using this M4 here as a little bit of a meat shield. Obviously he's lower hit point, so the KV is going to be focusing on him. A little bit of a disappointment there with that shot bouncing, so I switch over to APCR for the kill on the KV1. Got tanks coming up the middle. I want to be on the outside. The last thing you want to be with this tank is in the middle, taking fire from multiple sides. So you can see here I'm just using the tank speed and maneuverability there. We finish off 2 tanks, haven't taken any damage yet. And this is one of the instances I was talking about with shooting through buildings and whatnot. You can see here 3 shots all bounced. Everyone went through a building but didn't penetrate. So the team quickly folds. 5-on-1 right now. I'm full health, and this Kehoe pushed too fast, and so I'm able to finish him off. Now I'm thinking the only way that I can stand a chance in this game is to separate this team and try to pick them off one at a time. If they come at me all at the same time, I'm toast. So we've got this Hetzer who's just sat here and camped. Shoot his engine out, finish him off. Now we're down to 3 tanks. So I'm going to try to just kind of lose the scent here and fake them out and head back around. Figure they're all probably staying close to the middle of the map. So I'm going to use the tank's wonderful speed here. You can see 62 kilometers per hour. And we're going to go back around towards the bridge, and we're going to use that ledge, hide behind the bush, and we are going to get these guys spotted. SU-85's right there. Get 2 shots into him. Unfortunately, that last one must have just missed before he dropped off there. KV1 going to kill his engine. He has no idea where we are, and we are just pumping damage into him. And I want to get this last one in here before I get spotted by the Anko, which I do. Again, pretend like I'm headed right and switch directions and head left. We know that SU's just now gone into cap, so I can get up here and finish him off. Now it's just 1-on-1 Anko. He's got a little bit more maneuverability on me, and we are just going to duke it out. You can see here the struggles with a slow turret, and look at that, he misses! 7 kills. So I had to share that game again. Loved it. Probably one of my best games. Super fun. Horrible team. I think the top damage there was just over 200, whereas I pumped out 3,600 damage in this tank. I love it. Okay, so next game here is bottom tier. This is actually a supremacy. I don't think I've really done any games with supremacy on. It's actually kind of a mistake on my part because of the missions, trying to get some missions done, and I accidentally left it on. But makeup of our team, I think A and B should be the best bet. So we're going to push around. We're not going to go out into A because it's way too wide open out there. So we get some tanks spotted up. You can see there that aim time is a little bit long. We've got a T67 there rocking back and forth. You can see he's doing a good job. He's small, and with him moving like that, it makes it for a difficult target. But once we are staying still and we're aimed in, not that difficult of a target to hit. So we're back on track here. We kind of missed a few shots early. Toaster's coming up, and he's way exposed. I'm going to go ahead and drop adrenaline here just because we've got the ARL TD kind of out in the open. Want to make sure we get him. It's a tough tank with some good armor. So now let's just kind of push around and try to find some targets. A little bit of trouble there with gun depression, but we still get it down and Get our shot off. T-34 is taken care of. Now it's just this T-25, and I play this one a little bit sloppy here. I didn't expect him to turn. He was kind of just ignoring me. So we get a shot in. He turns, and really at this point I'm trading shots, which I don't want to be doing. So I move up here and get behind this dead carcass, but the team finishes him off. And now we've got a KV-2 spotted. And you can see here a little bit of the difficulty with the upper tiers, and getting a few bounces there. He was nicely angled, so I'm just going to go ahead and switch over to APCR. He's on the reload, but now he's probably not, so I'm going to wait for this KV-1S to come through and distract, and KV-1S gets the shot in a hair before me. So now it's just the ARL, and what I'm going to do here is just aim for this bottom plate. Moron team member here rams into me. Kind of one of my pet peeves. We get one into the turret, and he's backing around this building, and we bounce that shot. So I am going to use our good speed, and we're going to go ahead and circle around the back of him. And we're going to wait for our turret to catch up, and then we can get that shot in. That KV-1S must have bounced, because I'm able to get 3 shots in and finish him off for kill number 2. Just a shade over 2,000 damage. Good for a level 2 mastery badge on the tank. So you can see, even as bottom tier, can pump out some good damage with this versatile TD. Alright, so next game, bottom tier again on Castilla. Really hoping our team goes left. We've got the heavy makeup, and there is a great sniping spot for this tank up on this ledge. So we climb the ledge, moving up to this rock here, which gives us great protection from the castle area. And we've got our gun depression. We can get over that hill, so we're sitting pretty right now. So T67 spotted. He gets away. Try to get a shot into that KV-1, but he's turning, so that bounces. Kuro, we're going to aim for that lower plate, but our shot actually hits the top and bounces. And you can see with him angling nicely there, we are struggling a little bit to get some of these to pen. But our so I'm going to switch over to APCR there. Back to AP as he's turning sideways. And now this is the ARL's turn. He's going to come down, and you can see this is a great spot. We're doing lots of damage. If I didn't have shots, I would say relocate and get into a position where you can shoot, but you know, I'm just relying on my team to stay alive at this point and keep these guys spotted. Unfortunately, that shot on the T37 misses. I've got some big heavies here, so again, bouncing a couple of these shots, unfortunately. Get another shot into T37 there, and I get spotted, so I'm going to go ahead and back on down the hill. We don't want to sit up there if we're spotted. We're just an easy target. So we've got some low health tanks on this side. Really wish that shot had gone in there. I might have gotten a little bit too anxious here pushing around, but I know they had their TDs pushing there. I didn't realize that that Leo was there, so unfortunately that Leo is not a tank you really want to come into contact with, and you know, pick your poison there. Probably should have just taken out the toaster, but I knew that that Leo would take me out if I didn't take him out first. So and then we've got our Leo here who appears to have some sort of damage because he's hardly moving. Guess he only had one shot loaded there. He didn't have his full loader loaded up, you know, and it's one of these where it's tough to even carry some of these games with some of these players out there right now. So hopefully you guys are taking notes and learning a few things and making yourself overall better teammates. So again, bottom tier, we did 2,178 damage. Not much help from our team, unfortunately, so that ended up in a loss. Okay, got a short little game here to show you on mines as top tier. Not a great strategy game, good team, but the reason I wanted to point this game out is because of a nice little spot on the hill that I think gets underutilized. It's a great spot if you're in a tank with good gun depression. Right here behind this rock, you can see everyone focuses on the mouth of the cave, and you are hidden to your left as well as protected from the typical camping spot there at the top. So you can use your gun depression, load your shot, peek over, take your shot, and back down. The B1 is one tank I don't mind trading shots with. He only is doing 60 damage per shot. I took that one from the T1, didn't really need that, but BDR here is going to push hard on him, and so we're going to let him pass and take the attention of the T1, and we'll get a shot here into the side of the turret, finish him off. So you can see we just moved up over the hill, team pushed well together, and of course their team did not stick together, and they sent two flankers here who apparently got there too late, which is oftentimes the case. So again, we're back to the ridge on here, and we're not going over the ridge. We are just peeking out over enough to get our shots in, back down. T-34 is rushing over. He gives me a nice little juke move here to shoot the side and bounce that last one, but he's on a reload and no chance of getting away there. So just the SU-85 left. He's committing to going up the hill, so we'll go ahead and drop down and get a nice shot into the side of him here, and the team will finish him off. So this was just a quick game, but just wanted to point out that's a really nice spot. You can do a lot of damage there, especially if you're an American with a nice strong turret, or the French tanks do well there. Anything with good gun depression. So we end up doing a 1581 damage, 3 kills. It was a level 2 mastery, so even in a short amount of time you can do significant damage in this tank. Alright guys, Oasis Palms, great map for this tank with all of the dunes to the left. Anything that you can use this gun depression really helps with this tank. So we're going to push left. One of the spots I like to go to is this ridge right here next to the rock. Just paying a little cautious until we get some spots. Trade shots there with the T40. We got a good fast reload, so we'll go ahead and get shot number 2 into him. He's turned sideways, and we finish him off. 3 shots to 1 there. Take a nice little advantage. This M4 looks like he's pushing hard, so I'm trying to get myself over to the rock. I can go the other side if I need to. But he stops. So now I'm going to use this ridge, and I'm protected to the right because of the rock. I'll take my shot and I'll look quickly to the right just to see where the other tanks are. And this guy is focused on a tank behind me. Chaffee pulls around there. We'll take a shot into him. He backs up. Get a nice shot there into Chaffee again on the move. You can see how we're working the ridge lines here. That was a bit unfortunate there. We hit a little bit too close to the gun mantlet and bounce that shot. But that big old top, we can take him out for kill number 2. And I figure the last guy, KV, is AFK. We spot him up there. And I always aim the back half of the KV just because that's where the engine is. You are most likely, or if you want to catch it on fire, this is where you need to aim. And the KV-1 does catch on fire quite frequently. So keep that in mind. Get a few extra hit points out of a shot. But, you know, again, another quick game. Good team. 1,958 damage. Scout medal there. And that's just kind of how you play the ridge lines. We got 5 spots. And we basically hit every tank. So, just a fun little tank to play. Alright, so last battle. This time again on Castilla. I know I've already done one on this, but we're spawning on the other side. There's a great sniping spot, obviously, up on this side. But unfortunately, our team chose to go the other way. So I'm going to go ahead and push on over. Don't have that good of a climbing ability. But one of the areas that I think gets underused, most people obviously go to the right and pop out and everyone can see them. I like to come on the left of these buildings so I've got protection, especially in a tank with good gun depression like this. And you can see we're just going to back up as soon as we've shot. And we're just going to now wait for somebody to come into view. That both those T-28 and the other tank are one-shots the M4. So I'm not too concerned about them. So that's kind of why I make this decision to jump down the hill. But you can see the difficulty in brawling in this tank with the slow turret. You really need to turn the tank as well in order to get it aimed in, because it's difficult otherwise because of the slow turret speed. So anyway, thankfully this A-20's got the wrong gun, and we're able to survive by backing up and getting away. So taking a look, they've got 3 down there. Looks like one's not spotted at this point in time. And we've got one guy, I don't know, he must have taken a tour of the other side of the map. Obviously he hasn't been much help. So again, gonna go back over to this underutilized side of the hill here. And gonna go ahead and miss a lot of easy shots here in a minute. Crusader stopped there, and I wasn't planning for that, so we missed that shot. See where these other guys are. I don't have shots on them. Crusader circle back around, kind of rush that shot and miss. I was thinking about dropping down the hill and taking a shot at that Crusader, but that rock kind of stopped me. Shoot this and only get tracks. And he goes behind the building, and team finishes him off just before I'm able to shoot him. They've got 3 left. T-28's hung on long enough, and he goes down. Can get a shot here into the KV-1, but then he starts looking at me. So I cannot pull forward. Obviously a one-shot. both of their tanks are in the same spot, so I make the decision to go around behind them, use our speed and mobility. We're not going to pull all the way down. We're going to play this cautious and get a shot into the side of the Electo. Going to back up so we've got time to reload. He pushes too far and we're able to finish him off. And now it's just the KV left. He's on fire and we'll finish him off for kill number 4. So one of the great things about this tank is its mobility, how agile it is. It is difficult to play close up one-on-one just because of such a slow turret speed. So use your tracks to turn as much as you can. And play it like it doesn't have any armor, because it doesn't. Be very cautious with your hit points early in the game. Try to stay back. Do some good sniping. You know, if you're not doing it right, if you're sitting in a sniping spot and you're not doing damage, call that camping here. So relocate. Use that quick speed and relocate and get to somewhere where you can do some more damage, because you've seen from these games 1,500 easy, 2,000 even, as high as 3,600 if you're lucky. So anyway, guys, hope this review was useful. Good luck out there. Stay safe and have fun. Remember, this is just a game. Get educated, not fingered. Little finger out.